Your attention is being pulled apart piece by piece every single day. Notifications buzz, deadlines loom, and a quiet voice wonders if you are even moving toward what truly matters to you. It feels like trying to focus while a dozen people are shouting different directions. What if you had a 2,000-year-old system designed to silence that chaos and lock your mind onto a single point? Stoicism is that ancient operating system for unwavering focus and purpose. By the end of this, you will possess 25 specific, powerful moves used by Roman emperors and philosophers to cut through the noise of life. We are going to explore mental techniques that turn obstacles into fuel and distraction into clarity. How do you think a philosopher king leading an army managed to stay focused on his purpose? The first move is a mental drill so powerful it can feel like a superpower. It is called the premeditatio malorum, or the premeditation of evils. This is not about expecting the worst or wallowing in negativity. That is a common and costly misunderstanding. This practice is about strategic preparation. It is the act of sitting down each morning and deliberately visualizing the specific challenges that could throw your entire day, and therefore your purpose, completely off course. Think of a pilot running through emergency checklists before a flight. They are not expecting the plane to crash. They are ensuring that if something goes wrong, their response is automatic, precise, and focused. The Stoics did the same thing with their minds. They would ask themselves, what if the project I have been working on for months fails today? What if my key client sends an angry email? What if I feel a wave of anxiety or laziness that tempts me to abandon my plans? They would not just name these possibilities. They would close their eyes and vividly imagine them happening. They would feel the initial sting of disappointment, the flush of embarrassment, the pull of fear. And then, crucially, they would visualize themselves responding not with panic but with calm resolve. They would see themselves taking the next rational step, adjusting the plan, and moving forward with their purpose still firmly in view. This process acts like a psychological vaccine. By exposing your mind to a small, controlled dose of adversity in your imagination, you build antibodies against the real thing. When that difficult conversation actually happens or that setback truly occurs, it is no longer a terrifying surprise. It is a scenario you have already navigated in your mind a dozen times. The shock is gone, the panic dissipates, all that remains is your trained, focused response. Your mind is no longer a ship caught in a sudden storm, tossed by every wave of misfortune. Instead, it becomes the steady captain who saw the clouds on the horizon, checked the charts, and now steers through the turbulence with a clear destination in mind. This is how you stop events from controlling your focus. You disarm them in advance. That premeditation drill trains your mind to remain steady when chaos strikes. But what about the constant daily noise, the endless stream of things that demand your attention and drain your energy? The second move provides the ultimate filter for all of it. It is the single most clarifying idea in all of Stoic philosophy. Epictetus, a former slave who became one of history's greatest teachers, began his manual for life with this unshakable rule. Some things are within our power, he wrote, while others are not. This is the dichotomy of control: your opinions, your impulses, your desires, your aversions. In a word, everything that is your own doing, these are within your power. Everything not your own doing is outside it. This is not a gentle suggestion. It is a razor-sharp line drawn through the center of your entire experience. On one side, your own judgments and actions. On the other, absolutely everything else. The weather, traffic, the stock market, what your boss thinks of you, whether your project succeeds or fails, whether people like you. Your focus is the most precious resource you possess. And the Stoics argue that you waste nearly all of it by pouring your energy into the column of things you cannot control. Think of the mental energy spent worrying about a future outcome, rehearsing an argument with someone who offended you, or refreshing a web page for validation. That is your focus leaking out, accomplishing nothing for your purpose. The power of this move is in its ruthless application. Before you invest a single ounce of mental effort into anything, you must ask this filter question. Is this within my control? If the answer is no, your Stoic response is not frustration but release. You mentally note it and let it go like a leaf floating down a river. Your presentation is tomorrow. You can control your preparation, your rehearsal, the clarity of your slides. You cannot control a single person in that room. You cannot control if they are tired, distracted, or already decided. Your job is not to control their reaction. Your job is to deliver the work you control with excellence. The outcome belongs to the external column. Your effort belongs to you. This is how you channel all energy toward your purpose. Your purpose is not to become famous or rich or universally approved. Those are external outcomes subject to a million factors you cannot command. Your purpose is built from the bricks of what you can control. To act with integrity, to pursue mastery, to contribute value. Every time you feel distracted or anxious, trace the feeling back. Are you tangled up in the uncontrollable? The analogy is a gardener. A serious gardener does not spend the day shaking their fist at the sky, demanding sun or cursing the rain. They cannot control the weather. What they can control is magnificent in its simplicity. They can tend the soil. They can plant the seeds at the right depth. They can water consistently, weed diligently, and protect their plants from pests they can actually reach. They focus all their skill and attention on that domain, their domain of control. The harvest, it is influenced by their work, but it is not guaranteed by it. A storm may come, yet the gardener's purpose was never solely the harvest. It was the act of faithful cultivation. Your mind is that garden. Your judgments, your efforts, your daily actions are the soil and seeds. The external world is the weather. Stop trying to command the storms. Put all your focus, all your precious attention into tending what is yours. This move alone will reclaim vast territories of your mental landscape from worry and distraction. It clears the fog, and for the first time you see the path of your purpose laid out before you, built entirely from actions you can actually take. But seeing the path is one thing. Walking it when every instinct tells you to turn back requires a different kind of armor. The gardener cannot control the storm, but what if the storm itself was part of the plan? This brings us to the third move, a radical shift from acceptance to active embrace. The philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche later gave it a perfect name, Amor Fati, the love of your fate. This is the Stoic spirit at its most powerful. It is not merely tolerating what happens to you. It is not grim resignation. It is looking at every single event, especially the obstacles, the delays, the failures, and saying, this too is necessary fuel for my purpose. This happened for me, not to me. Think of it as the difference between a ship passively weathering a gale and a sailor who understands that the very wind trying to blow him off course is the same force that can fill his sails and propel him forward if only he adjusts his rigging. The obstacle becomes the way. Your greatest frustration becomes your most potent teacher. To see this in its rawest form, consider the Roman Emperor Marcus Aurelius. He was arguably the most powerful man in the world, yet his personal journal, the Meditations, was not written in a quiet palace library. He wrote it by candlelight in military tents on the brutal northern frontiers of the empire, surrounded by the stench of mud, blood, and disease. He was battling a plague, managing a collapsing economy, and fighting relentless wars, all while grieving personal loss. That hardship was his writing desk. In those moments of extreme pressure, he was not lamenting his terrible fate. He was using it. He was forging his philosophy in the fire of real life, reminding himself the impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. He was practicing Amor Fati on a colossal scale. He was loving his fate by using every single piece of it as material to build his character and sharpen his focus on his duty. How does this work for you? Imagine you are working on a crucial project and a key team member suddenly quits. The passive reaction is frustration, anger, a sense of defeat. You might waste days complaining about the unfairness. The Amor Fati reaction is to pause and ask, how does this advance my purpose? This forces me to develop my own skills more deeply. This reveals a weakness in our process we can now fix. This challenge will make the final result stronger because I had to overcome this. The barrier is no longer a stop sign, it is a stepping stone. It is the blacksmith's fire that tempers the metal. A sword is not forged in comfortable air. It is thrust into the flames, hammered on the anvil, and quenched in cold water. That violent process is what gives it its strength, its edge, its unbreakable resolve. Your character and your purpose are forged the same way. When you learn to love your fate, you stop seeing the universe as something working against you. You begin to see it as a relentless, perfect training partner, constantly presenting you with the exact resistance you need to grow stronger and more focused. Nothing can derail you because everything that happens is now material for your journey. This mindset keeps your purpose not just visible but magnetically compelling because every setback confirms you are on the right path, the path of transformation. Loving your fate prepares you for external storms, but what about the quiet internal enemy? The one that whispers for you to stay comfortable, to take the easy path, to avoid any hint of struggle. That enemy is the true assassin of purpose, so the fourth move is a direct assault on that voice. It is the deliberate practice of voluntary discomfort. This is not about punishing yourself or living a life of misery. It is a strategic and counterintuitive training exercise. You periodically choose a small, manageable hardship. A cold shower instead of a warm one, skipping a meal and sitting with the hunger, sleeping on a firm floor instead of your soft bed, walking somewhere instead of driving. The Roman Stoic Seneca put it plainly. He advised, set aside a certain number of days to be content with the scantiest and cheapest fare. Why on earth would you do this? The purpose is twofold. First, it is an inoculation against fear. We are terrified of discomfort because we have made a god out of comfort. We structure our entire lives to avoid any feeling of lack, any pang of hunger, any chill, any inconvenience. This makes us fragile. The smallest deviation from our perfect, temperature-controlled, on-demand world feels like a crisis. It shatters our focus. By voluntarily stepping into a controlled dose of discomfort, you prove to yourself in your bones that you can handle it. You feel the cold water hit your skin and your mind screams to get out, but you stay for 1 minute, and in that minute you learn a profound truth. The discomfort did not kill you, it was just a sensation. You survived it, you are stronger than it. That lesson rewires your brain. The next time life throws an unexpected hardship at you, a financial pinch, a stressful deadline, a physical challenge, your reaction is not blind panic. It is a calm recognition. I have felt something like this before. I chose it. I know I can endure this too. The second purpose is to soften your attachment. Comfort is a seductive trap. The perfect sofa, the endless snacks, the constant entertainment, these are not just pleasures. They are anchors. They make the hard work of purpose feel unnecessary, too difficult. Why write that book when you can stream another show? Why build that business when you can just relax? Voluntary discomfort loosens those anchors. It reminds you that you are not your comforts. You are the consciousness that can choose to experience them or not. It builds a muscle, the muscle of endurance, and just like physical muscle, you do not build it in the moment you need to lift a heavy weight. You build it in the quiet, consistent training sessions when no one is watching. You build it on a random Tuesday by choosing the cold shower. Then, when the inevitable discomfort of pursuing your purpose arrives, the late nights, the rejections, the tedious work, you have the strength to endure it. Your focus does not break because you are not fleeing from hardship. You have made hardship your ally in training. you are no longer a guest in the house of comfort, afraid to make a mess. You are its master, able to leave it whenever your purpose demands. This move ensures that your journey is not derailed by the first blister or the first hungry night. You have already walked that ground by choice, so when fate forces you onto it, you walk with confidence, your eyes fixed on the horizon. That voluntary hardship builds an inner fortitude nothing can shake. But sometimes the noise of daily life is not about comfort or pain, it is about sheer scale. The argument with a coworker, the missed deadline, the traffic jam that ruins your morning. These problems feel enormous because they are pressed right against your eyes. The fifth move is a mental telescope you can turn around and look through backwards. It is called the view from above. This is a cognitive exercise of pure perspective, a deliberate zooming out from the claustrophobic drama of the immediate moment. Close your eyes for a moment. Picture yourself right now, sitting or standing wherever you are. Now, in your mind, pull the camera back, see yourself in the room. Then see the building you are in, then the street, then your entire city or town from a bird's eye view. Keep pulling back, see the continent, the whole blue and green curve of the planet hanging in the black silence of space. See the sun, a distant star, and our solar system as just one of billions in the swirling arm of a galaxy. Now pull back through time. See the century you live in as a thin sliver in the layered rock of history. See all the people who have ever lived, loved, struggled, and vanished. Now look back at that tiny speck that is you in that room with that problem. Feel the shift, that urgent email, that harsh comment, that personal slight. Where is it now in this vast expanse? It has been reduced to its true size. This is not meant to make you feel insignificant. It is meant to make your anxieties feel insignificant. The Stoics used this to achieve a profound calm. When you are locked in a petty conflict, you are like an actor who has forgotten he is in a play, screaming his lines as if the fate of the universe depends on this one scene. The view from above reminds you of the whole theater, the entire epic sweep of the human story. Your role is important, but this single line is not the entire performance. This perspective kills the anxiety of trivialities by drowning them in the ocean of what is real and enduring. It forces a brutal and clarifying question. In this vast theater of time and space, against the backdrop of mountains and oceans and centuries, what is my true role? What actions will actually matter when I zoom back out? Will this argument I am having matter in 5 years? Will this setback define my legacy? Or is my energy better spent on the few, significant things that align with my purpose, the things that might actually ripple forward in time? The view from above drains the color from your petty worries and highlights your true objectives in bright, undeniable light. It refocuses your energy not on being right in a meeting, but on being virtuous in your life. Not on avoiding momentary discomfort, but on building something that lasts. It is the ultimate cure for a myopic mind. Use this move when you feel overwhelmed by the small stuff. Zoom out, see the cosmos, then step back into your life, your problems now holding their proper, manageable size, and your purpose standing clear and tall on the horizon. The cosmos is vast, but your time within it is not. This leads to the sixth move, the one many misunderstand completely. Memento Mori, remember you must die. This is not a morbid fixation or a dark obsession. It is the single most powerful focusing tool ever devised. The Stoics did not see death as a tragedy to be feared, but as the ultimate deadline that gives all of life its meaning, its urgency, and its breathtaking clarity. Seneca saw the contradiction in how most people live and called it out with stunning precision. You act like mortals in all that you fear and like immortals in all that you desire. We fear 1,000 small things as if they could kill us, yet we desire and delay our grandest plans as if we have all the time in the world. We live in a constant state of mistaken identity, terrified of phantoms while wasting our only true non-renewable resource, time. Memento Mori corrects this. It is the daily, gentle whisper in your ear. You will not be here forever. This day is a slice of a finite pie. How will you use this slice? The ancient Romans would keep a physical reminder. A servant might whisper it in a triumphant general's ear during a victory parade. A philosopher might keep a skull on his desk. The point was never the skull. The point was the question it silently asked of every action, every hour, every choice. Is this how you want to spend your precious finite time? When you internalize this, something profound happens. Procrastination becomes almost impossible. Why? Because procrastination is the luxury of someone who believes they have infinite tomorrows. Remembering you do not shatters that illusion. The trivial pursuit loses its glitter. That hour you might spend scrolling through endless, angry debates online or rehearsing a minor slight from yesterday suddenly feels like a grotesque waste. You are trading a piece of your one and only life for something that does not nourish your purpose. The Memento Mori lens cuts through all of that like a scalpel. It forces a brutal prioritization. If you knew you had only 6 months to live, what would you stop doing immediately? What would you start? The answers to those questions are not a plan for a hypothetical end. They are a map for your life right now. The things you would stop are the distractions. The things you would start are the essence of your purpose. This practice injects not anxiety, but a profound calm and directed energy. You stop waiting for the perfect moment because you know the perfect moment is the one you are in, right before it slips away. You become less concerned with pleasing everyone because you realize you cannot afford the time to live someone else's version of your life. You focus on the work that matters, the relationships that are true, the experiences that are vivid, because the clock is not just ticking, it is your most honest and relentless coach. It asks you constantly, is this it? Is this the note you want to leave ringing in the air when the music stops? Death clarifies what is essential, but the work of building a life around that clarity happens in the quiet hours after the sun sets. This is the 7th move, a practice so simple yet so transformative that it was the secret engine behind one of history's greatest minds. It is journaling, but not the kind you might think. This is not a diary of events or a log of feelings. This is the Stoic practice of the nightly review, performed with the rigor of a Roman proconsul submitting a dispatch to the emperor. You are both the governor in the field and the sovereign in the capital. Each night you hold court with yourself. Marcus Aurelius did not write his meditations for publication. He wrote them as these nightly dispatches to his own soul, a personal manuscript of reminders and corrections. His journal was his command tent. You can build yours. The process is built on 3 deliberate questions asked in order with ruthless honesty. First, what did I do well today regarding my virtues and my purpose? This is not about ego, it is about recognition and reinforcement. Did I act with courage in a difficult conversation? Did I practice patience when the plan fell apart? Did I make progress, however small, on the project that aligns with my deepest aim? Name the specific action. This plants a flag on the territory you have successfully claimed for your character. Second, and this is the harder one, where did I let myself be ruled by passion or distraction? The Stoics called these passions the unhealthy emotions, the ones that hijack your reason. Did I lose my temper and speak harshly? Did I succumb to anxiety and procrastinate on an important task? Did I waste an hour chasing the empty validation of social media? Be specific, not I was lazy, but I chose to watch a 3rd episode instead of working on my proposal. This is not self-flagellation, it is a forensic audit. A general does not ignore where the line broke, he studies it to strengthen it for tomorrow. Third, and most crucial, what will I do differently tomorrow? This turns reflection into strategy. Based on today's review, what is one concrete adjustment? If I was distracted by my phone, I will leave it in another room for the first 2 hours of my work. If I lost patience with my colleague, I will begin our next meeting by listening fully before I speak. This is the active self-coaching. You are not just cataloging mistakes, you are issuing new orders to yourself for the next day's campaign. This nightly ritual creates a powerful feedback loop that most lives completely lack. Without it, days blur into weeks and we repeat the same errors, drift from the same purpose without any mechanism for course correction. This practice installs that mechanism. It takes the vague sense of "I should do better" and transforms it into a precise plan for "I will do this instead." It constantly recalibrates your focus, pulling you back from distraction and aligning your daily actions, brick by brick, with the purpose you identified under the gaze of mortality. Your journal becomes the map room where you plot your journey, review the day's travels, and chart the course for the next dawn. It is where philosophy meets the pavement of your actual life. And in that quiet space, you become the architect of your own character, one honest entry at a time. But character is built in moments of choice, and nothing tests that choice like the pull of pleasure that leads nowhere. Your nightly review sharpens your resolve, but a dangerous trap still lies ahead. It is the trap of attachment to a specific result. You can do everything right, follow every step, and still fail to achieve the exact outcome you envisioned. This is where the eighth move, the reserve clause, becomes your shield against disillusionment. The Stoics called it the "accept what is beyond our control," or more simply, fate permitting. This is a mental clause you add to every plan, every goal, every ambition. It means you pursue your aim with your entire being. You give it your absolute best effort, your complete focus, and yet in a quiet corner of your mind, you acknowledge that the final result is not yours to command. You are not being half-hearted, you are being wholehearted about the part you control and serene about the part you do not. Think of an ancient archer. His purpose is clear: to hit the target. His entire focus is on the elements within his control. The smooth draw of the bowstring, the steady anchor point at his cheek, the clean release of the arrow. He pours his skill, his training, his concentration into that shot. But what is outside his control? The wind. A sudden gust can take his perfectly aimed arrow and send it veering off course. If the archer's sense of success is tied solely to the arrow striking the bullseye, he is setting himself up for constant frustration. A day with strong winds would be a day of failure, no matter how flawlessly he executed his form. The Stoic archer, however, practices with the reserve clause. He focuses with all his might on the shot. He does everything right, and then he releases the arrow, along with his attachment to where it lands. If it hits the target, he is pleased with his skill. If the wind takes it, he is not shattered. He acknowledges the role of fate, retrieves his arrow, and prepares for the next shot, his focus undiminished. His purpose was not solely the bullseye. His purpose was the act of mastering the shot. The outcome is a collaboration between his effort and the world's conditions. Now apply this to your life. You are working on a major project at work. You commit to it fully. You research, you plan, you execute with excellence. You control your effort, your attitude, your diligence. You add the reserve clause, fate permitting. This means you understand that the client's final decision, the market's reception, a competitor's move, these are the win. You cannot control them. If you tie your entire sense of worth and success to winning that specific contract, you are the archer cursing the gust. You will be devastated if it goes another way, even if your work was brilliant. But with the reserve clause, you separate the two domains. You judge yourself on the quality of your shot, your effort. You accept the outcome, whatever it is, with equanimity because you know you controlled your part. This does not make you passive, it makes you relentless. Why? Because when failure does not devastate you, you are not afraid to try again. Your focus stays on the process, on the things you can actually improve. You are not spending emotional energy on rage or self-pity about the wind. You are analyzing your form, adjusting your aim, and knocking another arrow. The reserve clause protects your passion from becoming poisoned by expectation. It keeps your eyes on your purpose, which is to shoot well, not to control the weather. Your journey continues not because every target is hit, but because your aim remains true. That reserve clause protects you from the sting of failure, but there is a far more seductive prison than failure, one built of velvet and gold. It is the trap of success itself, or more precisely, the lifestyle that success demands you maintain. To break its lock, you need the ninth move, a practice so countercultural it feels like a secret rebellion. Seneca called it practicing poverty. He did not mean you should actually become destitute. He meant you must periodically choose to live as if you were poor, to voluntarily become a pauper for a short time. This is not the same as voluntary discomfort. That was about building endurance against hardship. This is a deep psychological audit. Its purpose is to answer one terrifying question: what are you truly afraid of losing? Is it the status, the specific car, the house in the right neighborhood, the constant stream of new gadgets and luxuries? We rarely admit these fears. We just work harder to keep them, often drifting further from our true purpose in the process. We accept jobs we hate to pay for houses we are too busy to enjoy. This is what people mean by golden handcuffs, shackles that are beautiful, comfortable, and utterly restrictive. Practicing poverty is the key to those cuffs. Here is how it works. First, you must identify the specific luxury or symbol you fear losing. Be brutally honest. Is it your curated social media image? Your ability to dine at expensive restaurants, the brand of your clothes, the size of your home, name it. Then, for a set period, a day, a weekend, a week, you deliberately go without it. If you fear the loss of social status, spend a day completely offline, telling no one of your accomplishments. If you fear losing culinary luxury, eat only simple, home-cooked meals of rice and beans for a week. If your identity is tied to your car, use public transportation or walk everywhere. The goal is not to suffer, but to observe. Observe your own mind during this experiment. You will likely feel a strange anxiety, a sense of lack, an itch to return to the normal comfort. Sit with that feeling. Do not run from it. Interrogate it. That anxiety is the ghost of your attachment. It is the fear that without this thing, you are less, your happiness is diminished, your purpose is harder to pursue. And then, as the hours pass, something remarkable happens. You will discover that you are still you. Your ability to think, to work on your purpose, to enjoy a conversation, to feel the sun on your face, none of it has vanished. The meal was simple, but you were nourished. The walk was slow, but you saw your neighborhood. The silence was deep, but you heard your own thoughts. You proved to yourself through direct experience that your core happiness and your capacity for purposeful work are not housed in those external things. They are internal. This practice does not mean you must renounce all nice things. It means you break their spell over you. You move from being owned by your possessions to being their master, free to enjoy them when they are present and equally free to be content when they are not. This is the ultimate freedom. It means you can pursue a purpose that may not make you conventionally rich because you know your worth is not in your bank account. It means you can walk away from a lucrative but soul-crushing job because you have proven to yourself you can live on less. You are no longer making decisions from a place of fear of losing the lifestyle. You are making them from a place of power, aligned with what you truly value. Your purpose becomes a compass, not a paycheck. And when your purpose is no longer hostage to your overhead, you can follow it anywhere. Freedom from luxury clears the mental clutter, but a deeper clutter remains, the automatic stories we tell ourselves about everything that happens. Every single day, your mind is presented with raw data, and in a fraction of a second, it slaps a label on it. Good, bad, threatening, insulting. This is the birthplace of every distraction, every surge of anger, every spiral of anxiety that pulls you from your purpose. The 10th move is the master key to this process. The Stoics called it the discipline of ascent. This is the core of their entire cognitive model. They saw a clear chain. First, an external event occurs. Then you receive an impression of that event. Then, in a flash, you give or withhold your assent, your agreement to the judgment embedded in that impression. And finally, based on that assent, you have an emotional and behavioral reaction. The entire game is won or lost in that tiny, often invisible, space between the impression and your assent. That space is your zone of sovereignty. Imagine you're working deeply on a project and you receive an email from a colleague. The subject line reads, "Urgent, we need to talk about your work." The raw data is the email. The immediate impression your mind creates might be, "Oh no, I messed up, they are angry, this is a disaster." That impression carries a judgment, a story. It says this event is bad, threatening, and about my failure. The undisciplined mind instantly assents to that story. It agrees, yes, this is a disaster. And then the reaction floods in, a wave of anxiety, defensiveness, maybe even shame. Your focus is shattered. You spend the next hour rehearsing arguments, feeling sick, unable to concentrate on anything else. The discipline of assent is the practice of inserting a pause right after the impression, and before you agree with it, it is the mental habit of saying, "Wait. Is this true? Let me examine the impression." You look at the email again. You interrogate the story. Is this event truly bad, or is it simply an unknown? The email says, "Talk about your work." That could mean many things. It could be a request for clarification, an idea to build on it, or yes, a criticism. But is criticism itself a catastrophe? Could it be useful feedback that helps me improve the project, which is my purpose? By pausing to question, you withhold your automatic assent. You strip the event of its terrifying narrative. You see it for what it is, a request for a conversation. Nothing more, nothing less. Your emotional reaction is now a choice, not a reflex. You might feel a flicker of concern, but it does not become a tidal wave. You can reply calmly, "I would be happy to discuss it when works for you." And then you return your focus to your work, your purpose intact. This discipline turns you from a puppet jerked around by every impression into the author of your own responses. Epictetus put it in stark terms. It is not things that disturb us, but our judgments about things. The email is just text on a screen. The traffic jam is just cars. The sharp tone in someone's voice is just a sound wave. They have no inherent power to disturb you until you grant it to them by assenting to the story that they are terrible. Practice this with the small things first. Someone cut you off in traffic. The impression shouts, "That jerk, he disrespected me." Pause, withhold assent. Is that true? You have no idea why he switched lanes. He might be rushing to the hospital. He might not have seen you. Even if he is a jerk, does his poor driving actually say anything about your worth? No, it is just a car moving. By not assenting to the story of personal insult, you avoid the flash of rage, the raised blood pressure, the ruined mood that could cloud your next hour. You simply note it and let it go, your inner peace and focus preserved. This move builds the mental muscle of discernment. It is the difference between being a calm lake that reflects events clearly and a turbulent pond that churns up mud with every thrown stone. Your power does not lie in controlling every stone thrown. It lies in the stillness of your waters, your ability to receive the impression without being stirred into chaos by your own automatic judgment. Master this, and you master the very source of your distractions. That space between impression and assent is your fortress of inner peace. Yet a fortress can still be besieged by a powerful force from within, the force of wanting. We are creatures of desire. We want success, comfort, recognition, security, and there is nothing inherently wrong with these things. The Stoics were not emotionless robots. Their genius was in understanding that desire, left unchecked, becomes the master, and we become its anxious, exhausted servants, chasing one thing after another, our focus scattered to the winds. This brings us to the 11th move, the discipline of desire. This is not about suppressing your wants or pretending you do not care. That is a recipe for internal conflict and frustration. The discipline of desire is a far more subtle and powerful art. It is the conscious, deliberate redirection of your deepest wanting. You learn to desire not external outcomes but internal virtues. You train yourself to want to act with courage more than you want to avoid a difficult conversation. You desire to be just more than you desire to win an argument. You crave wisdom more than you crave being right. You choose temperance more than you choose that fleeting indulgence. Your primary desire shifts from getting something from the world to becoming someone of substance within it. Think of it as changing the destination of your hunger. Most people are ravenously hungry for external validation, for the next promotion, the bigger house, the perfect relationship. And because these things are not fully within their control, as we established with the dichotomy of control, they live in a state of perpetual hunger no matter how much they acquire. The Stoic redirects that profound hunger inward. They become hungry for integrity. They crave the feeling of having faced a fear and stood their ground. They desire the quiet satisfaction of knowing they did the right thing, even when it was costly. They want the clarity of a mind that is not clouded by excess or deceit. When your deepest, most primal desire is to be a person of good character, something revolutionary happens. The external world loses its power to devastate you. A promotion becomes a nice event, but not the source of your worth. Criticism becomes useful data, not an attack on your soul. Financial loss is a practical challenge, not an existential crisis. Why? Because your core desire to be virtuous remains entirely within your control. No one can stop you from acting with courage today. No market crash can prevent you from being temperate in your spending. No person's opinion can block you from seeking wisdom. Your happiness, your sense of purpose, is no longer tied to the spinning wheel of fortune. It is anchored to the choices you make every single hour. This is the ultimate focus hack. When you desire to become rather than to get, your energy consolidates. You are no longer pulled in a dozen directions by a dozen different wants. There is one central aim, your character, and every situation becomes raw material for it. A stressful meeting is not an obstacle to your peace. It is the gym where you train patience and wisdom. A personal failure is not proof of your inadequacy. It is the classroom where you learn resilience and humility. Your focus shifts from the unpredictable results to the dependable process of building yourself. You stop asking, what can this situation give me? You start asking, what can this situation make of me? This transforms the very quality of your life. The pursuit of external goals is often frantic, jealous, and fearful. The pursuit of internal virtue is calm, generous, and steady. You can genuinely celebrate others' successes because their gain does not threaten your primary desire. You can face your own setbacks with curiosity because they are simply new lessons in your curriculum of character. Your purpose is no longer a distant finish line you might never cross. It is the person you are becoming with every single step you take, and that is a journey that can never be taken from you. Desiring virtue reframes the entire world as your training ground, but training for what? A stronger character in isolation is a beautiful statue, impressive but inert. The 12th move breathes life into that statue and sets it walking into the world with clear intention. This is the discipline of action. While the first two disciplines govern your inner world, your judgments and your desires, this third discipline governs your movement through the outer world. Its core directive is simple yet profound: act for the common good. The Stoics envisioned a cosmopolis, a universal city of all rational beings. In this view, your purpose is not self-aggrandizement, not personal glory hoarded in a private vault. Your purpose is to be a constructive citizen of this vast, interconnected city. Every action is an opportunity to contribute to its welfare. This transforms the very nature of your work. It installs a powerful, altruistic filter for every task you undertake. Before you begin, you learn to ask one clarifying question: how does this serve a purpose larger than myself? You are not just answering emails, you are facilitating communication that keeps a project, and therefore a team, moving forward. You are not just writing a report, you are creating clarity that helps your organization make better decisions, potentially affecting countless colleagues and customers. You are not just fixing a sink, you are restoring a fundamental comfort and hygiene to a home. Even the most seemingly mundane labor is woven into the fabric of human need. When you frame your work this way, a remarkable shift occurs. The drudgery evaporates because the meaning has been restored. You are no longer a cog turning mindlessly, you are a contributor. This provides a fuel source for focus and perseverance that self-interest alone can never match. Self-interest is fickle. It asks, what is in this for me right now? And when the answer is not immediately gratifying, your motivation crumbles, your focus drifts. But a purpose anchored in service asks a different question: who is helped by me doing this well? The answer is always someone, that customer waiting for a solution, that colleague relying on your part of the project, that family member who benefits from your stability. Your effort is no longer just about your personal gain. It is a link in a chain of mutual aid. Think of a stonemason in the Middle Ages carving a single gargoyle for a cathedral that will take 200 years to complete. He will never see the finished spire. He will never hear the prayers offered inside. If his motivation was solely personal fame or checking a task off his list, the work could feel futile, a tiny scratch on an impossible mountain. But if he sees himself as a servant to a divine purpose, as a contributor to a shelter for his community's soul for centuries to come, every strike of his chisel is infused with sacred significance. His focus becomes unwavering because the quality of his small, hidden contribution matters to the grandeur of the whole. Your modern work is no different. The project may be less poetic, but the principle is identical. Your focus deepens when you connect your specific action to the human need it ultimately meets. This discipline is the ultimate antidote to the feeling that your work does not matter. It always matters because people are always on the other end of it. When you are tempted to cut corners, the thought shifts from, I can get away with this, to, I would be letting someone down. When you feel like giving up on a difficult task, the thought becomes, someone is counting on me to solve this. Your perseverance is no longer fueled by a fragile ego, but by a sense of duty to your fellow citizens in the cosmopolis. This moves your purpose from the personal to the universal, making it both humbling and immensely powerful. You are not the center of the story. You are a vital character in a much larger, more meaningful narrative. And that realization is what turns daily action into a legacy, one focused, purposeful step at a time. A life lived for the common good is a life of powerful contribution, but in the heat of the moment, when anger flares or temptation whispers, that noble vision can blur. You know what you should do, but a stronger, more immediate feeling pulls you in another direction. For those precise, decisive moments, the Stoics crafted a 13th move of brilliant psychological simplicity. They called it contemplating the sage. This is not about worshipping some ancient philosopher or chasing an impossible standard of perfection. It is about creating a clear, external model for your own best self. The sage in Stoic philosophy is the ideal, the person of perfect wisdom and virtue. They are the North Star, not a destination you expect to reach, but a fixed point you can always navigate by. The move is this: in any situation where you are confused, conflicted, or emotionally charged, you pause and ask one deliberate question: what would the sage do right now? This question performs a subtle but profound magic. It momentarily steps you outside of your own swirling emotions and limited perspective. It invites a wiser, calmer, more objective version of you into the room to consult. Your anger wants to send a sharp email. Your fear wants to avoid a difficult truth. Your laziness wants to postpone a vital task. These are all internal voices, loud and persuasive. The sage is a different voice, an imagined counsel of your own highest ideals. By asking for their judgment, you create a space between impulse and action. Think of it like having a trusted mentor living in your mind, one who is never swayed by pettiness or panic. You are about to react defensively to criticism. Stop. What would the sage do? The sage would listen first completely, seeking the kernel of useful feedback within the comment, however poorly delivered. They would respond with gratitude for the chance to improve, not with a counterattack. You are tempted to gossip about a colleague to make yourself look better. What would the sage do? The sage would see the insecurity driving that impulse and choose silence, or better yet, find something genuine to praise. They would build up rather than tear down because they understand the common good. You are facing a complex ethical dilemma at work, a gray area where you could cut a corner and probably get away with it. What would the sage do? The sage would not ask what they can get away with. They would ask what action aligns with absolute integrity, even if it is the harder path. They would choose the right thing over the convenient thing every single time. This practice externalizes your conscience. It gives you a standard to aim for that is not based on your fluctuating moods, but on timeless principles of wisdom, justice, courage, and temperance. It turns murky, emotional decision-making into a cleaner, more objective process. You are no longer just wrestling with your own desires. You are consulting a blueprint for human excellence. The power lies in its specificity. Do not just ask what is the right thing. That can feel abstract. Ask what would the perfectly wise and good person do in this exact situation. That forces a concrete, actionable answer. It is a call to your own latent greatness. Over time, this repeated consultation trains your neural pathways. You start to internalize the sage's responses. Their voice becomes stronger, your impulsive voice becomes quieter. You begin to act with the sage's clarity without needing to consciously ask the question every time. You are sculpting your character in their image, not to be perfect, but to be consistently better, more focused, more aligned with the purpose you have defined. This mental model ensures that your daily actions, especially the difficult ones, are always pulling you toward your North Star, not dragging you into the weeds of pettiness and reaction. That sage within you chooses wisdom over reaction, but what does it do when the path itself seems to vanish, when you hit a wall that feels absolute? This is the moment for the 14th move, a mental jujitsu so powerful it can turn the heaviest weight into your greatest strength. The Stoics called it turning the obstacle upside down. It is the deliberate, active reframing of every single barrier, not as a block, but as the raw material for building virtue. The obstacle is not in your way, it is the way. Think of a blacksmith. He does not look at a piece of iron and lament its hardness, its resistance. That hardness is the very quality he needs. Without it, he could not forge a sword. The fire, the hammer, the intense pressure, these are not enemies of the iron. They are the process that reveals its potential. Your obstacles are that iron, your virtues are the sword. A difficult, abrasive person appears in your life. The untrained mind sees an annoyance, a source of stress, a distraction from peace. You turn the obstacle upside down. You see this person as your most valuable sparring partner for the virtue of patience. They are not ruining your day, they are providing the exact friction you need to smooth your own rough edges. Your goal shifts from wishing they would change to asking, how can I maintain my calm and my principles in the face of this? Every interaction becomes a focused training session. You fail to land a client you worked months to secure. The immediate impression screams of wasted time and personal inadequacy. Flip it. This failure is now a masterclass in humility, stripping away any arrogance. It is also a treasure trove of pure, unemotional data. What specifically did the client respond to? What did they reject? This information, gathered in the fire of loss, is the precise fuel you need to improve your offer, to refine your pitch, to become more effective. The failure was not the end of your purpose, it was an essential upgrade to your method. You face an agonizing delay, a project stuck in bureaucratic limbo for weeks. The common reaction is frustration, a sense of powerless waiting that drains your energy. Turn it upside down. This delay is your wilderness retreat for practicing perseverance. It is the test of your commitment. Can you hold your focus on the goal when there is no immediate feedback? Can you use this quiet time to prepare even more thoroughly, to strengthen other areas, to build your resilience? The delay is not stealing your time, it is teaching you the depth of your own endurance. The key to this move is the active question you must learn to ask the instant an obstacle arises. Do not ask, "Why is this happening to me?" That leads to a victim story. Instead, ask with deliberate curiosity, "What virtue can this situation develop in me?" This one question changes everything. It turns you from a passive recipient of circumstance into an active alchemist of character. Is this situation calling for courage? Then it is a courage gym. Is it demanding compassion? Then it is a compassion lab. The entire landscape of your life transforms from a series of random events into a purpose-built training facility. Every locked door is not a sign to quit, but a resistance machine for your determination. Every criticism is not an attack, but a mirror held up to your growth areas. This is how the Stoics built mental fortitude that could withstand anything. They did not pray for an easy life free of obstacles. They prayed for the strength to make use of the obstacles they were given. Because they understood that a smooth sea never made a skilled sailor. Your purpose is not a fragile dream that requires perfect conditions to survive. It is a robust, living thing that is fed and strengthened by the very challenges that seem to threaten it. When you master this flip, you stop seeing setbacks and start seeing setups, intricate arrangements designed by fate to forge the person you need to become to achieve your aim. Nothing can truly stop you because everything that happens is now grist for your mill, fuel for your fire, material for your masterpiece. That alchemy of turning obstacles into fuel requires a raw and honest accounting of your most finite resource. The 15th move is a direct confrontation with that reality, a meditation on the shocking shortness of life. This builds upon the Memento Mori principle with a specific mathematical exercise that transforms a philosophical idea into a visceral, physical shock. It begins with a simple, sobering calculation. Take the average human lifespan, say 80 years, multiply that by 52 weeks. The result is 4,160 weeks. That is the approximate total if you are fortunate. Now find a piece of paper or open a blank document, draw a grid, make each square represent 1 week of your life. Start filling them in one by one from the week you were born. If you are 30 years old, you have already filled 1,560 of those squares. They are gone, permanently crossed off the wall of your existence. Continue filling until you reach your current age. Look at the page. See the vast, intimidating expanse of blank squares that represent your future. This is not a morbid exercise, it is a clarifying one. It is the difference between intellectually knowing you will die and feeling the weight of every single week as it passes. Those blank squares are not an abstract future, they are a currency, and you are spending that currency 1 week at a time on everything you do. Every hour lost to mindless scrolling is a tiny fraction of a square, forever shaded in with the faintest, most forgettable gray. Every week spent in a job that drains your soul for a paycheck is a whole square filled with a heavy, dark color of quiet desperation. But a week spent in deep, purposeful work on something you believe in. That square glows. A week spent in genuine connection with loved ones. That square is warm and vibrant. This visualization forces a brutal prioritization. When you see your life as a limited grid of 4,000 squares, many already used, the cost of distraction becomes unbearably clear. You would not light your remaining money on fire for a few seconds of entertainment. Why would you burn a piece of your only life on something that does not matter? This meditation cuts through all procrastination and excuses. That project you have been putting off for years, how many squares will it truly take? 5-10. Seeing it as a tiny, manageable cluster on the grid makes it feel possible, and more importantly, makes delaying it feel absurd. That grudge you are holding, that resentment you are nursing, how many precious squares are you willing to paint with that bitter color? Probably none once you see them laid out so starkly. This practice does not create panic, it creates precision. It asks you to define with ruthless honesty what you want those remaining blank squares to look like. What story do they tell when they are all filled? Do they tell a story of courage, of contribution, of love and creation? Or do they tell a story of avoidance, of complaint, of time frittered away on the trivial? You get to choose the color you use each week. The meditation on the shortness of life is the ultimate filter for your daily actions. It turns every "should I" into a much more powerful question: is this worthy of a square? When you internalize that grid, your focus locks onto the activities that earn a bright, bold color on your wall. Everything else simply fades away because you can see with painful clarity that you cannot afford it. That stark grid of your life squares exists not in a void, but within a vast, breathing tapestry. The 16th move pulls the camera back even further than the view from above, not just to see scale, but to feel connection. The Stoics called this sympatheia, the profound interconnectedness of all things. They saw the universe not as a collection of random, isolated objects, but as a single, living, rational organism, a cosmos where every part is woven into the whole. You are not a lonely island shouting into an uncaring void. You are a conscious cell in the body of something magnificent, and your purpose is a thread in its grand design. When you feel the crushing weight of isolation in your struggles, when you believe no one could possibly understand your specific burden, this move corrects your vision. It whispers that everyone you pass on the street, everyone in your office, everyone in history, is or was fighting a battle you know nothing about. Your challenge is not a unique curse, it is a shared human condition. This awareness does two powerful things for your focus. First, it smothers the ego-driven distractions that fragment your energy. Feel a spike of jealousy because a colleague got the promotion you wanted. Sympatheia reframes it. Their success is not a theft from you, it is proof that advancement is possible within the very system you both inhabit. Their win can be studied, it can inform your own path, it can even be celebrated as a positive event for your shared community. Your energy shifts from bitter comparison to curious observation. Feel anger rising towards someone who obstructed you. This interconnected view asks you to consider what battles they might be fighting that led to that behavior. This does not excuse malice, but it prevents your own mind from becoming poisoned by resentment, a toxin that scatters focus more effectively than any external noise. Second, and more profoundly, sympatheia provides a deep, anchoring sense of belonging that fuels sustained effort. Pursuing a difficult purpose alone is exhausting. Pursuing it as a citizen of the cosmos, as a contributor to a universal project, is ennobling. Think of a single musician in a grand orchestra. Alone in a practice room, the hours of scales can feel tedious, pointless. But in the context of the symphony, every note matters. The violinist understands that a precise fingering is essential for the harmony of the strings, which supports the melody of the woodwinds, which together create an emotion that will lift the entire audience. Her small, focused effort is given meaning by its connection to the whole. Your work is no different. Your project, your craft, your act of kindness is your note in the human symphony. You may not hear the full composition, but you can trust that your contribution, played with excellence, resonates through the web of cause and effect. This moves your motivation from a fragile, "what's in it for me?" to a resilient, "how does this serve the whole?" That question is a compass that always points toward purposeful action. It turns competitors into fellow musicians, obstacles into shared rhythms, and your daily labor into a sacred participation. You stop feeling like you are pushing a boulder up a hill for yourself and start feeling like you are helping to turn the great wheel of the world in concert with countless others, seen and unseen. Your focus gains a gravity, a weight of meaning that no passing distraction can easily dislodge. This interconnected view gives you strength, but where do you stand when the entire world seems to be shaking? Your final refuge is not a place you can build with stone and mortar. It is a fortress you construct with thought and will. The 17th move is the retreat to your inner citadel. The Roman Emperor Marcus Aurelius spoke of this constantly in his private writings. He envisioned a quiet, inviolable space at the very center of his being, a stronghold where his true self, his ruling reason, resided. No external event, no matter how loud or violent, could breach its walls without his explicit permission. Criticism, loss, praise, chaos, fortune, misfortune, all of it had to stop at the gate. They could clamor outside, but they could not enter his inner court where calm judgment presided. This is not an act of running away from reality. It is the ultimate act of taking control of it. When the noise of the world becomes deafening and threatens to scatter your focus, this is your practiced retreat. You step back behind your own eyes and into the silence of your command center. Let us build that citadel right now, in this moment. Close your eyes if you wish, or simply soften your gaze. Picture a fortress. It can be anything: a stone tower on a quiet hill, a serene room deep within a mountain, a silent observatory under a starry sky. This place is yours alone. See its walls, thick and impenetrable. Feel its solidity. There is only one gate, and you hold the key. Now imagine the chaos of your day, the worries, the demands, the frustrations. See them as figures outside the walls, shouting, gesturing, trying to get in. The angry email is a messenger pounding on the gate. The looming deadline is a storm cloud gathering overhead. The critical voice in your head is a spy trying to scale the walls. Watch them for a moment, and then, with a deliberate breath, you turn your back. You walk away from the gate, deeper into your citadel. You enter a central chamber, quiet and still. Here, the only things present are your core values, your clear purpose, and your power of choice. The noise from outside becomes a distant murmur. In this space, you can hear yourself think. You can ask the essential questions without the static of panic. What is truly mine to control here? What action aligns with my purpose? What would courage look like in this situation? You do not answer the shouts, you consult your own counsel. After a few moments of this quiet recalibration, you can choose to go back to the gate. But now, you are not a prisoner under siege. You are the commander looking out from the battlements, assessing the situation with clarity. You decide which messages to let in, which to dismiss, and how to respond from a position of strength, not reaction. The storm cloud is still there, but you are no longer standing in the field getting drenched. You are in your stronghold, making a plan. This inner citadel is where you remember who you are when the world tries to tell you otherwise. It is the practice of finding your unshakable core, the part of you that cannot be harmed by events, only by your own poor judgments. Every time you retreat here, even for 30 seconds in a stressful meeting or before a difficult conversation, you reinforce its walls. You prove to yourself that your peace and your focus are not hostages to circumstance. They are sovereign territories, and you are their sole ruler. Your inner citadel is a sanctuary of calm, but the storms still rage outside its walls. The 18th move gives you a specific tool to disarm those storms before they ever reach your gate. Modern psychology calls it cognitive distancing. The Stoics practiced it as the disciplined description of reality. It is the simple, powerful act of stripping an event of all its emotionally charged labels and seeing it for what it is in plain, objective language. Your mind is a master storyteller, and in a crisis it writes tragedies. A project deadline slips, the immediate internal narrative screams, "This is a complete disaster. My client will fire me, my reputation is ruined, this proves I am not good enough." That story is not the event. It is a layer of interpretation, a judgment soaked in fear, and it is that story that triggers the cascade of panic, the racing heart, the scattered focus. Cognitive distancing is the pause where you edit that story down to the bare facts. You look at the screaming narrative and you translate it. Instead of "this is a disaster," you say out loud or in your mind, "a project deadline was missed." That is all. It is a statement of fact, neutral and clean. A deadline was missed. Now observe what happens in that space. The catastrophic weight lifts. The word disaster carries an entire world of implied failure and irreversible doom. The phrase "deadline was missed" is simply a data point. It describes a situation in the past. It does not judge it. This creates critical distance between you and the event. You are no longer drowning in the drama of the problem. You are standing on the shore, looking at it clearly. From that position of clarity, rational problem solving becomes possible. Your energy, which was being consumed by the emotional firestorm, is now freed to ask practical questions. Why was the deadline missed? What is the very next step I can take to communicate with the client? What can be salvaged and what new timeline is realistic? Your focus shifts from the terrifying story in your head to the actionable steps in front of you. Practice this with the small irritations first. Your partner leaves dishes in the sink again. The story might be, "They never respect me or the work I do around here. This is so inconsiderate." That story fuels resentment and primes you for a conflict. Apply cognitive distancing. Strip the judgment. The objective fact is, there are dishes in the sink. That is all. It is a condition of the kitchen, not a declaration of war on your character. From that neutral starting point, you can choose a calm, effective response, perhaps a simple request or a shared solution, rather than launching an accusation born from an inflamed narrative. This move is linguistic hygiene for your mind. It teaches you to separate the observable event from the theatrical production your emotions want to stage around it. By describing events in plain language, you drain their power to hijack your attention and derail your purpose. You remain the author of your response, not a captive audience to your own panic. That cognitive distance gives you a clean slate to work from, but what do you actually write on it? A purpose can feel like a beautiful, distant mountain, but the path to its summit is paved with the ordinary stones of daily life. The 19th move builds that path, stone by deliberate stone, using a framework the Stoics called role ethics. You are not a single, monolithic self. You are a constellation of roles, each one a facet of your identity and a channel for your purpose. You are a son or a daughter, a parent, a friend, a neighbor, a citizen, an employee or a leader, a creator, a student. The Stoics saw these not as burdens or masks, but as sacred assignments. Each role comes with a specific set of duties, a job description written not by a company, but by virtue itself. The exercise is disarmingly simple, yet it generates profound clarity. You begin each morning, perhaps during your first quiet moment, by mentally reviewing your core roles. Not all of them, but the 3 or 4 most active in your life right now. Then, for each one, you ask a single, focused question. What does being a good parent require of me today? What does being a conscientious employee demand? What does being a supportive friend ask for? The answers that arise are not vague wishes. They are your virtue-based to-do list. They translate your grand purpose into the concrete, actionable tasks of a single day. Your purpose might be to live with integrity and contribute to your community. That is the mountain. Your role ethics exercise is the map for today's hike. As a parent, integrity and contribution might mean being fully present for 15 minutes of uninterrupted play with your child, listening without distraction. That is a specific, achievable duty. As an employee, it might mean completing the financial report with meticulous honesty, even though you could fudge a number and no one would know. That is a duty of your professional role. As a citizen, it might mean taking 10 minutes to write a thoughtful letter to a local representative about an issue you care about. These are not random chores. They are the embodied expression of your purpose. filtered through the specific relationships and responsibilities you hold. This practice does two powerful things. First, it eliminates the paralysis of not knowing where to start. You no longer stare at the vague, overwhelming mountain of "my purpose." You look at your list derived from your roles and you see clear, immediate steps. Your focus has a defined track to run on. Second, and more importantly, it ensures your purpose is lived in context. A man who claims his purpose is to spread love, but then snaps at his family, ignores his colleagues, and cuts off other drivers is not living his purpose. He is performing a hollow slogan. Role ethics grounds your virtues in real-world behavior. It asks, how does love manifest as a brother, as a colleague, as a stranger in line at the store? Each role provides a different theater for the same core virtues to perform. Think of a master craftsman. He has a grand purpose to create beauty and function that lasts generations. But he does not achieve that by simply staring at a vision of a perfect chair. He achieves it by fulfilling the duties of his specific roles each day. As a woodworker, his duty is to make precise, strong joints. As a mentor to his apprentice, his duty is to teach patiently and correct with kindness. As a business owner, his duty is to deal fairly with suppliers and customers. When he reviews these roles each morning, he knows exactly what to do. His grand purpose is lived through the faithful execution of these role-bound duties. Your life is the same craft. This exercise ensures you are not building a beautiful facade while the supporting structure of your daily relationships rots. It aligns your actions across every sphere, creating a life of coherent integrity. Your energy is no longer scattered across conflicting priorities because your priority in every role is the same: to act with the virtues that define your purpose. The mountain is climbed one role-specific step at a time. Role ethics provides the daily blueprint for living your purpose, but what happens when the very comforts that blueprint has built start to smother the fire that drew it? Success can be the quiet killer of drive. The 20th move is a direct antidote to that creeping complacency, a practice so counterintuitive it feels almost wrong. It is the temporary, deliberate practice of ingratitude. This is not about becoming an entitled, unappreciative person. That would be a corruption of the entire Stoic project. This is a strategic mental exercise designed for one specific goal: to shatter the illusion of permanence that surrounds your advantages and reawaken the hungry, focused drive you once possessed. You perform it by periodically taking your greatest blessings one by one and mentally subtracting them from your life. You strip them away in your imagination, not with resentment but with clear-eyed curiosity. Start with your health. Close your eyes and vividly picture what your daily life would be like if you lost the robust health you currently enjoy, not in a fearful way but in a factual reconstruction. How would your mornings change? What simple tasks would become monumental? Feel the weight of that absence. Then open your eyes. Feel the immediate, visceral rush of gratitude, yes, but also notice something else. A subtle shift in energy. The comfort you took for granted is now seen as the powerful tool it truly is. Now do the same with your job or your primary work. Imagine it vanished tomorrow. The routine, the income, the identity it provides, all gone. Sit with the raw feeling of starting from scratch, of having to prove your value all over again. Feel the hunger that creates, then return to the reality that it is still here. Do this with your key relationships, your home, your financial safety net. This exercise does not make you love these things less. It makes you see them as the dynamic, temporary gifts they are, not as permanent fixtures of your universe. It recreates the mindset you had before you attained them, that driven, resourceful, intensely focused state where every day was a step toward building something. That is the state where purpose burns brightest, unclouded by the fog of entitlement. When you become too grateful in a passive way, you risk falling into what the Stoics warned against: a softness, a belief that you deserve your comforts and that they will always be there. This breeds stagnation. You stop striving because you have arrived, but your purpose is not a destination, it is a direction. Practicing temporary ingratitude shakes you from the comfortable armchair of your current achievements and puts you back on the road. It asks the vital question, if I lost this tomorrow, who would I be and what would I do? Your answer reveals the core of your purpose, independent of your current possessions. It rekindles the fire by reminding you that your comforts are not the prize, they are the fuel for the next leg of the journey. A musician who becomes too grateful for his first hit song might stop writing, content to play the same tune forever. But if he practices subtracting that song from his catalog in his mind, he remembers the empty page, the hunger for a melody that did not yet exist. That memory drives him back to the studio, focused not on past glory but on the next creation. Your life is your creative work. Do not let gratitude become the ceiling of your ambition. Use this temporary, strategic ingratitude to break through that ceiling, to feel the draft of possibility from the next level, and to focus your energy on building the ladder to reach it. That strategic ingratitude clears the fog of complacency, sharpening your vision for the road ahead. But the road itself is paved with countless tiny moments of choice, moments where your focus can be stolen in an instant by a rude comment, a sudden delay, or your own wandering desire. For those decisive seconds, you need more than a general principle, you need a specific, preloaded response. This is the 21st move, the philosophical evening pause. You have already learned the power of the morning premeditation, where you visualize potential disasters to build resilience. This evening ritual is its perfect counterpart, not a review of the day that has passed, but a gentle programming of the day to come. It takes just a few quiet minutes right before sleep when your mind is most receptive to suggestion. In this calm space, you do not dwell on what was, you calmly anticipate what will be. You remind yourself with serene certainty of a simple truth. Tomorrow, you will encounter annoying people. You will face frustrating delays. You will feel the pull of temptations that have nothing to do with your purpose. This is not pessimism, it is preparation. The world will deliver these tests as reliably as the sun will rise. Your job in this evening pause is to pre-decide your stoic response. You are essentially writing the script for your own reactions before the play begins. So you sit and you run through the likely scenarios. When the colleague makes that predictable, dismissive comment in the meeting, I will pause. I will see it not as a personal attack, but as their own struggle expressing itself. I will respond with a simple, factual clarification, not with defensive heat. When the traffic snarls and makes me late, I will use the time to listen to an educational podcast or sit in silence, rather than boiling with impotent rage against the red lights. When the urge to scroll social media hits during my deep work block, I will recognize it as a craving for distraction, acknowledge the feeling, and then return my eyes to the task, remembering the grid of my life squares. This is not about willing yourself to be a perfect robot. It is about reducing the immense cognitive load of decision-making in the heat of the moment. Psychologists call this decision fatigue. Every choice you make, from what to eat for breakfast to how to handle a criticism, drains a tiny bit of your mental energy and willpower. By pre-deciding your stance on the common irritants and temptations, you conserve that precious energy. You move the decision from the chaotic, emotional battlefield of the moment to the quiet, rational war room of the evening before. When the test arrives, your response is not a frantic, draining deliberation. It is the automatic execution of a program you wisely wrote for yourself. You have already chosen your path, so you simply walk it. Your focus remains locked on your purpose because the distraction was disarmed before it ever fired. Think of a fire drill. Schools do not wait for a real fire to explain the evacuation plan amidst the smoke and panic. They practice it repeatedly in calm conditions, so the route becomes muscle memory. The evening pause is your daily fire drill for mental and emotional fires. You are rehearsing the exit from pettiness, frustration, and temptation. When the alarm sounds tomorrow, you do not freeze, you move. Your feet know the way because you traced the path last night. This practice builds a profound kind of confidence, the confidence of readiness. You stop fearing the day's potential friction because you have already faced it in your mind and know exactly how you will navigate it. You greet the morning not with anxiety about what might go wrong, but with the quiet assurance of a prepared traveler, map in hand, focused on the destination and ready for the known bumps along the road. That evening pause programs your mind for the predictable friction of tomorrow. But what do you say to yourself in the very heart of that friction when the workout burns, the work feels endless, and every instinct screams for you to stop? You need a phrase, a short, sharp command that cuts through the noise and reminds you why you are here. The 20-second move is exactly that, a 3-word mantra that flips the entire script. You say it silently in the moment of greatest resistance. This is what I came for. Let its meaning sink in. You did not sign up for the easy, comfortable path. You signed up for the transformation, and transformation only happens under pressure. When you are on the last, brutal set of a weightlifting session, your muscles are screaming, your lungs are burning. The easy voice in your head pleads, just put it down, you have done enough. That is when you look at the weight, feel the strain, and you think, this is what I came for. I did not come to the gym to move light weights easily. I came to find my edge, to push past it, to feel this specific burn that means I am growing stronger. The struggle is not an unfortunate side effect, it is the main event. Apply it to your work. You are deep in a complex, tedious section of a project. It is mentally exhausting, unglamorous, and no one will ever see the hours of grind that go into it. The temptation to check your phone, to do something simpler, is overwhelming. You look at the dense data, the confusing problem, and you tell yourself, this is what I came for. I did not start this project for the applause at the end. I came for the competence built by untangling this exact knot, for the focus forged in this precise fire. The tedium is the tuition you pay for mastery. Even in conflict, this mantra holds power. You are about to have a difficult but necessary conversation. Anxiety is buzzing in your chest. You could avoid it, smooth things over, keep the false peace. But as you feel that nervous dread, you pause and acknowledge, this is what I came for. I am in this relationship, this team, to build something real. And real things require having the hard talks. I came to practice courage, not to avoid discomfort. The awkwardness is the proof that I am doing the real work of connection. This phrase reframes everything. It takes the very sensation you are using as a signal to quit and reinterprets it as a sign that you are exactly where you need to be. The purpose was never the trophy on the shelf. It was the calloused hands, the disciplined mind, the resilient heart you earn on the way to it. The trophy is just a piece of metal. The person you become by earning it is what lasts. When you use this mantra, resistance changes its meaning. It is no longer a red light telling you to stop. It becomes a green light, a confirmation. You are in the arena. You are facing the thing that builds the quality you seek. The boredom builds patience. The confusion builds problem solving. The fear builds courage. The fatigue builds endurance. Every time you meet that feeling and say, this is what I came for, you are accepting the terms of your own growth. You are agreeing to the contract you made with yourself when you chose a meaningful purpose over a comfortable existence. It turns the struggle from an enemy to an honored teacher, the one you specifically sought out. The mantra transforms struggle into purpose, but where does that purpose fit in the grand scheme of things? Your inner citadel is strong, yet it must be built upon the bedrock of reality, not the shifting sands of wishful thinking. This is where the 23rd move, studying nature, provides an unshakable foundation. For the Stoics, physics was not just a subject in school. It was the essential study of how the world actually works, the observation of its fundamental laws, its cycles, and its logic. They believed that to live well, you must first understand the nature of the house you live in. This move involves deliberately spending time observing the natural world or studying the principles of science to internalize these universal truths. It is not about becoming a biologist, but about becoming a more grounded human. Walk into a forest and simply watch. See how the leaves, green and vibrant in summer, turn gold and red, then brown, and finally let go, falling to become the soil that feeds the next generation of growth. This is not a metaphor, it is a direct physical demonstration of impermanence and renewal happening right before your eyes. It is Memento Mori written in the language of bark and breeze. Your own life has its spring, its summer, its autumn, and its winter. Seeing this cycle play out in nature drains the drama and fear from your own aging and eventual end. It becomes a natural, dignified part of a beautiful, necessary process, not a terrifying aberration. This observation grounds you. Now, look closer at cause and effect. A seed does not become an oak tree through hope or anxiety. It requires specific, actionable conditions: soil, water, sunlight. The seed controls its own growth potential, its genetic code, but it does not control the rainstorm or the shade from a larger tree. This is the dichotomy of control performed by every plant in the forest. The acron can only do what an acron can do. It cannot command the weather. Your projects, your relationships, your health, they follow these same natural laws. There are causes you can set in motion and effects that follow, but also a vast web of interconnected factors beyond your command. Studying nature makes this abstract philosophy visceral. You see that resilience is not about refusing to bend, but about learning to sway with the wind so you do not break. You see that strength is built slowly, in rings, through consistent conditions. When you internalize these patterns, your focus becomes resilient and adaptable because it is aligned with reality itself. You stop fighting against the grain of how things are. If you are trying to grow a palm tree in a snowy climate, you will exhaust yourself and fail. That is not a failure of will, it is a misunderstanding of physics. Studying nature helps you identify what you are, a palm tree or a pine, and then directs your focus toward creating the environment where you can actually thrive. Your purpose is no longer a fantasy disconnected from the world. It is a seed you are planting, and you now spend your energy on the things that truly nourish it: the soil you can tend, the water you can provide, while accepting the sunlight and storms as they come. This move returns you to the role of a participant in a vast, intelligent system. Your focus sharpens because you are no longer trying to rewrite the rules of the universe. You are learning to play the game with wisdom, using the laws of nature as your guide. Studying nature teaches you to prune the dead branches so the tree can grow stronger. This is the essence of the 24th move, the art of subtraction. You have been building your focus, strengthening your mind, clarifying your purpose, but a crowded room, no matter how well lit, is still a crowded room. The final step is not to add another brilliant idea or another disciplined habit. It is to remove everything that does not belong. The Stoic philosopher Seneca put it with piercing clarity. We must give up many things to which we are addicted. He was not just talking about vices. He was talking about the subtle, respectable addictions that clutter a modern life, the commitments that feel obligatory but are optional, the subscriptions that promise knowledge but deliver noise, the habits that fill time but drain energy, even the relationships that are more about maintenance than meaning. This move is a regular, ruthless audit of your entire life's inventory. You must become a curator of your own attention, and a curator's first job is to decide what does not make the cut. Begin with the obvious physical space. Look at your calendar for the last month. How many meetings, events, or social obligations did you attend out of a vague sense of duty or fear of missing out, rather than a clear alignment with your purpose? Each of those hours was a square on your life grid, filled with a color you did not consciously choose. Now look at your digital subscriptions, the newsletters you never read, the streaming services that autoplay distraction into your evenings, the apps that fragment your concentration with endless notifications. Each one is a tiny leak in your reservoir of focus, but the most difficult subtraction, and often the most powerful, lies in the realm of relationships and identity. Are there connections in your life that are sustained purely by momentum or guilt? Conversations that leave you feeling drained and diminished rather than energized and uplifted? These are not necessarily toxic people, they are simply misaligned energies. Continuing to pour your limited time and emotional bandwidth into them is a subtraction from your core purpose, whether you realize it or not. The courage to subtract comes from a simple, stark realization. Every yes to one thing is a no to everything else. When you say yes to another mediocre commitment, you are saying no to an hour of deep work on your most important project. When you say yes to mindless scrolling, you are saying no to the quiet reflection that generates your best ideas. When you say yes to maintaining a superficial connection out of obligation, you are saying no to deepening a relationship that truly matters. Subtraction is not loss, it is the creation of empty space, and empty space is not a void, it is the necessary condition for focus to flourish. Think of a master sculptor. He does not create a statue by piling more clay onto a block. He creates by chipping away everything that is not the figure. His focus is defined by what he removes. Your life, your purpose, your character, they are the statue hidden within the block of marble that is your current existence. Your distractions, your trivial commitments, your energy-draining habits, that is the excess stone. The art of subtraction is the disciplined use of the chisel. You ask with each element of your life, does this serve the emerging form of my purpose? If the answer is no, or even a hesitant maybe, you have the Stoic permission to let it go. This creates the silent, spacious room in which deep work can finally live. It is in that empty space that your mind can stretch out, make unexpected connections, and produce the work that only you can do. The noise fades, and for the first time you can hear the clear, steady signal of your own true aim. Subtraction carves out the silent space where your true work can finally breathe. But in that quiet, a final and most clarifying question echoes. It asks not what you have removed, but what remains when everything non-essential has been stripped away. This is the 25th and culminating move, the ultimate thought experiment that brings every other practice into razor-sharp focus. You must learn to live as if you were already on your deathbed, looking back at the life you are living right now. This is not a morbid fantasy of final illness. It is a deliberate shift in perspective, a mental time travel to the last quiet hour of your existence. In that imagined stillness, you ask yourself two brutally honest questions. First, what will I regret not doing? And second, what will I be proud of having done? The answers are not about bucket list adventures or dramatic gestures. They almost never are. The dying do not typically lament the skydiving they missed or the exotic countries they did not visit. The regrets that surface in those final reflections are almost always quiet, intimate, and achingly simple. They are about the conversations left unfinished, the love expressed too cautiously, the personal potential left unexplored out of fear, the time wasted on bitterness over slights that no longer matter. They are about the gap between the person they knew they could be and the person they chose to be day after comfortable day. Conversely, the pride is equally quiet. It is in the knowledge that you showed up for someone when it was hard, that you finished what you started, that you told the truth when a lie was easier, that you created something useful, that you grew through your struggles rather than being broken by them. This deathbed perspective is the final, unsparing filter for every single one of the Stoic moves. It asks, is this practice, this effort, this daily choice in service of a life I will be satisfied with at the end? When you feel the pull of a distraction, you can ask, will this matter on my deathbed? The frantic need to win an argument, the hour lost to envy, the avoidance of a difficult task, they all shrink to irrelevance. Their power to hijack your focus vanishes. When you face a hard but right decision, you can ask, which choice will I be proud of when I look back? The path of courage, though daunting now, becomes the only viable option because you are already seeing it from the end point of your life, where temporary comfort holds no value compared to lasting integrity. This is the master key to a focused life because it collapses all complexity into one timeless metric. Your purpose is no longer an abstract concept. It is the answer to the question, who do I want to have been? Every morning then becomes a chance to live into that answer. You are not waiting for a future moment to become that person. You are practicing being them now with the mundane materials of today. The phone call you have been putting off to mend a fence, that is deathbed work. The patient explanation to a struggling colleague instead of a curt dismissal, that is deathbed work. The 30 minutes spent on your craft instead of on another episode, that is deathbed work. These are the bricks of a life with no regret. This practice ensures your focus is never consumed by the temporary currency of status, vanity, or shallow approval. It orients you entirely toward the eternal currency of character. When you live this way, a profound calm settles over your efforts. The noise of the world fades to a distant murmur because you are listening to a much older, wiser voice, the voice of your future self who has already seen how the story ends. They are whispering back through time, guiding your hand, telling you what is worth your precious attention and what is merely dust. To live with that whisper in your ear is to live with an unshakable focus, for you are always building the only thing that ultimately matters, a life you can look back on with a quiet and deeply earned peace. This is not a collection of isolated tips, but an integrated operating system for the human mind. Each of these 25 Stoic moves connects to the others, forming a resilient lattice of mental clarity. The premeditation of evils prepares you for the storms. The dichotomy of control teaches you where to stand during them, and Amor Fati shows you how to sail using their very winds. The inner citadel is your fortress, built brick by brick through nightly reviews and the discipline of ascent. The view from above gives you the map, while Memento Mori gives you the urgency to follow it. This is not a philosophy to be debated in a lecture hall, but a practice to be lived in the messy, beautiful arena of your daily life. It is a daily return to the forge where you hammer your character against the anvil of reality. Do not feel overwhelmed by the number of moves. The Stoics were not after perfection, they were after progress. Your task is not to master all 25 tomorrow. Your task is to begin today. Choose just 2 or 3 that resonate most deeply with your current struggle. Perhaps start with the evening pause to program your tomorrow and the mantra, "This is what I came for," to meet the resistance when it arrives. Maybe it is the simple filter of the dichotomy of control applied to the first 3 irritations of your day. Pick your moves, practice them with consistency, not with a desperate hunger for immediate transformation, but with the steady patience of a gardener tending seeds. The transformation will come not as a sudden explosion, but as a quiet, undeniable shift in your inner landscape. Distractions will lose their grip. Obstacles will lose their terror. Your purpose will stand before you, not as a distant dream, but as the next clear step on a path you are already walking. The final word belongs to the emperor himself, Marcus Aurelius, who wrote in the privacy of his tent, a command that cuts through 2,000 years of noise straight to the heart of the matter. Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be one. The argument is over, the theory is complete, your life is your philosophy now, go and build it with focus. Let me know in the comments which one of these 25 moves landed with you today. Which will you try first? And if you want more practical wisdom to master your mind and your time, subscribe and join us for the next exploration.